Really, the last year, what's really evolved is this term agentic AI or AI agents. And what that does is take all of the other historical greatness of AI, right? NLP, NLU, machine learning, and then turn it into really a fully autonomously driven outcome. AI agents are your digital twin, not your digital replacement. And what I mean by that is it's AI and people working together to be more productive and efficient on those low level, more remedial, or as I like to say it, like not so fun tasks.
So essentially, it's going to enhance the experience, enhance or expand the productivity rather than, being fearful about cutting it.
Now we've moved into a world where that conversational experience is all of that, but now also powered by AI agent, where it's actually executing on the things that I'm asking it about real time.
Hello everyone, welcome to BetterTech. So today I have with me Chris. Hello Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me, Haseeb.
Thank you for joining. How's it going with you?
Everything's great. Coming to you live from sunny North Carolina. So excited to be here.
That's amazing. So Chris, before we get started, can you really tell who Chris is from both a personal and professional perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. As mentioned, Chris Traylor coming to you from sunny Raleigh, North Carolina, to be more specific. Native son of Washington, D.C. Living here in North Carolina for the last 7 years with my wife, Kirsten, and our newly welcomed daughter, Emma. So I'm excited about some of the very evolutionary technologies we're talking about today that actually afford me a lot of time to spend more time in my personal life, thanks to some of the productivity and efficiency gains I have in professional life. So excited to be here. From a professional side of things, I'm the global executive for employee experience at ServiceNow, where I'm focused on really three key things across all of our customers: leveraging AI to deliver meaningful and curated experiences for employees that help both them as well as the folks that are servicing them be more productive and efficient, and their day-to-day tasks to better align people to work, and then reducing time and cost for those employees, the individuals that are servicing them, as well as the enterprise as a whole. So
Mhm.
really excited to be here and happy to expand on that in any way you need.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for the introduction. So, you touched upon a topic like employee engagement, workforce, productivity, all these things. And with this and an introduction of AI overall, and a very important sort of word has come into the mix, which is AI agents. So, if you have to explain AI agents in very simple terms or a non-tech term, how you would do that?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Asib. It's probably the number one that I get from customers here at ServiceNow, and just kind of what we're doing with AI agents. I always think it's important to kind of step back and just kind of talk about where we're at and what really an AI agent is. Historically, we've leveraged AI all across consumer as well as professional life to complete a myriad of tasks, or even really just supercharge some of the interactions with those. About 2 years ago, this really great thing called generative AI kind of came to surface, and that started putting things in a better context for individuals, both in our personal lives as well as our professional lives, helped summarize and synthesize information to make it more consumable, and even provide recommendations on next steps that I could take to more quickly get to a desired outcome. When you're a new parent like myself, it's sometimes as simple as, how long do I heat a bottle up? It's much quicker to get that information. It's much more relevant, leveraging tools like ChatGPT. And then about really the last year, what's really evolved is this term agentic AI or AI agents. And what that does is take all of the other historical greatness of AI, right? NLP, NLU, machine learning, and then turn it into really a fully autonomously driven outcome. So here at ServiceNow, what we're hyper focused on is leveraging AI agents for our customers as an example, to take all of the AI that they're already using on our platform and fully automate workflows to where these AI agents are actually not just synthesizing information and summarizing it, making it more consumable, but they're actually taking it and doing something actionable with it to deliver the full outcome for an employee, customer, or even contractor.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's great. So, with the introduction of AI agents, where AI agents are autonomously doing things, right? Is it going to enhance the productivity of employees, or is it going to introduce some fears in the employees that their jobs will be cut and they will be redundant, etc.?
It's a great question, and I said earlier, what is an AI agent is the number one question I get. It's probably neck and neck with the question you just asked, which was, what does this really mean for me, my job, my productivity and efficiency? And I always like to frame this as AI agents are your digital twin, not your digital replacement. And what I mean by that is it's AI and people working together to be more productive and efficient on those low level, more remedial, or as I like to say it, like not so fun tasks to give me more time back to focus on meaningful, high impact work. I'll give you a good example of this, Haseeb. My role at ServiceNow here as global executive is working with all of our complex strategic organizations from 1,000 to sometimes upwards of 200,000 people organizations, traveling a lot to meet with those individuals. Some weeks I spend 40 hours that whole week just traveling the globe, meeting with these customers. And then when I come back to work the following week, I've got about 60 or 70 hours worth of expense reports to complete.
Hmm.
That's 60 or 70 hours. And 60 or 70 is probably a little bit of an inflated number, but I would say arguably for every 40 hours that I spend traveling, meeting with customers across the globe, spending about 15 hours the following week completing expense reports. That's taking me away from customer time and follow up that I could be
Hmm.
spending. So this is a good way that I like to frame the conversation for customers. It is helping you focus on the more impactful and meaningful and rewarding parts of your job, and it's automating the parts of
That-
your job that take you away from doing those things.
So essentially, it's going to enhance the experience and enhance or expand the productivity rather than, I mean, being fearful about cutting it.
Absolutely. And I would say how we deliver these AI agents as well as generative AI from an experiential standpoint to employees, HR service teams, or whoever it might be in the organization that's servicing those individuals is also a key part of that puzzle. So you hear me mention employee experience, employee engagement. It's important that we deliver these AI agents, if you will, in an experience that actually makes it more consumable and more engagement friendly for that individual, because AI for the sake of just saying we're deploying AI isn't enough. It has to be delivered through an experience that actually yields measurable and tangible value for the individual that's interacting with it. I think of this, and a big way that I talk about this, Haseeb, is years and years ago, something came out called chatbots, right? Or
Mhm.
conversational AI, if you will. This is what most of us experience on a day to day basis when we're interacting with things like ChatGPT. Historically, it would just go out and it was very deterministic, and it would say, you ask this question on the status of something, here's the result.
Yep.
That over time has evolved into areas like AI driven workflow, which is smarter, more efficient workflow that is more adaptable than that scripted, deterministic conversational experience. Moved into generative AI, where that conversation became more synthesized, more human like, and then also provided answers to questions that might have been a follow up based on the information that was provided. And now we've moved into a world where that conversational experience is all of that, but now also powered by AI agents where it's actually executing on the things that I'm asking it about real time. So in a matter of minutes and sometimes moments, I can get to an outcome rather than waiting for a ticket to be resolved by a live agent somewhere, for example.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it is going to certainly, I mean, enhance how we work and how we get productive. But many times what happen is that there is a very, how I should say this, I mean, there is a significant portion of our time that is spent in decision making, which is based on context, which is based on something which is called historical knowledge, or I mean, something that we know, something that we have in our subconscious, and something that is very natural or intuitive to us. How do you think these AI agents can be made or developed in a way that they are very much enabled in terms of enhanced decision making, as well as they are aware of the relevant context so they can make the decisions which is relevant and impactful for the business?
Well, it's a great question, and there's a lot of different directions that I could go in that, and I'll attempt to answer it to the best of my ability. And if you have follow up, please. Um, I think governance, right, is a key part of this, right? That we have to make sure we communicate to the masses across the market, which is these AI agents are autonomously executing, but they're human governed. And then they're also fed by learning mechanisms within the organization. So we're actually training these AI agents and they're learning, again, autonomously over time based on the governing principles that we put in place to
Hmm.
manage them. So at ServiceNow, for example, I use my own organization as a great example. Every system that you work with and interact with will have AI agents. It's really important that those AI agents are centrally governed and centrally enabled to be successful across the enterprise, because each system is going to have its own governing principles. It is going to have its own mechanisms for learning and training these AI agents. So it's really important that we feed these AI agents with strong foundational data, um, structured as well as unstructured. And then we leverage that data to structure in the right way to adequately train these AI agents to execute work the way that we need them to execute it. And over time, we can, in a more natural language fashion, prompt these AI agents to coach them on better ways to operate in the future. Give you a good example of this. If I go back to my past example of having to do 15 to 20 hours of expense reports each week, in one instance, I may say, hey, submit this expense as this particular item or this particular under this particular expense policy. The AI agent can go and look up that expense policy for me. It can determine whether or not the expense fits within it. And then it can go ahead and autonomously execute on submitting and completing that expense report. Maybe over time, maybe finance looks at that as a final approval step, right? They reject it back to the AI agent, and they can simply prompt that AI agent of, you submitted this under the wrong policy. Please leverage X policy. The AI agent can now go out and grab that. Historically, what I would have to do is be the arbiter of that, if you will.
Mhm.
I'd have to, as the employee, go back, figure out what that policy is, make sure I select the right one, spend a couple back and forth with the finance and expense team. So it's really important that we have central governance of these AI agents, and it's really important that we remember that these AI agents are still human trained and human monitored over time.
So, so with these AI agents, I mean, in terms of making them more productive and more autonomous as well as more productive, integration with internal systems is going to be a key. I mean, AI agent, just for the sake of developing an AI agent, is not going to help anyone unless it can give you the data, which is specific to you in your particular context. So, how you have seen in this journey, I mean, the impact of integration, or how I would say, I mean, in like getting data from various sources, aggregating it, and then maybe implementing some data engineering ETL layers for enabling these AI agents to make decisions to the best of the use for employees as well as organization in general. So, how your experience have been with the integration of data or APIs or other sources to get the most benefit out of it?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I spend, admittedly, Haseeb, a lot of time talking to individuals that are trying to figure out where to aim AI as a whole. And as always, and with AI, the most important thing is access to information, right? Or data. The challenge that organizations have is kind of twofold. First and foremost, data on our employees, on our customers, on our contractors, it lives everywhere, and that's not something we can solve for um, entirely ever. Right? It's just we live in a world of infinite information, and that information is becoming infinitely dispersed over time. So that's challenge number one, but and priority number one is we have to recognize that information lives everywhere, and we have to centralize it and feed it into AI in a way that makes sense. The second part of that, since data lives everywhere, it's both structured in some systems as well as unstructured. And AI agents, right, operate off of information, and it being clean and structured data is incredibly important.
Yep.
So I always break this down for customer executives in kind of three key buckets. First, we have to connect our data into a central location, and we have to have several mechanisms or protocols, if you will, to use a technological term. Uh, Several protocols to connect that data into a central location, both structured and unstructured, structure it in the right way, map the data adequately to then better be able to understand it. Once we've connected the data, then we can better understand and interpret what it means. And once we've done that, we can feed it into AI or AI agents, feed it to our AI agents, and then we can act on it. So it's connect, understand, then act, if I put it into a simple framework for
Mm.
customers. And it's really important that we don't rely just on one single protocol to make that happen. Because again, these infinite systems where this infinite amount of data lives, they're all operating off of different protocols in terms of how they share, expose, and interact information. So it's having a central location that you can connect data and multiple ways to connect data into it, both structured and unstructured. Better ways to then understand that data, map it, structure it, and then we can then begin to act on it.
Hmm. So, I mean, as you mentioned that you spend quite a lot of your time traveling and interacting with executives and people from various your customers, right? From many of your customers, I would say. So, how do you talk to them about getting a good ROI on their AI investments?
Great question. So I think it's always important to start at the persona level. Um, I think for customers, as I mentioned earlier, they're struggling to understand what to aim at. And what I mean by that is they all know they want AI agents, and they're just trying to better understand where to prioritize and where to use it. The challenge with generative AI early on, for example, was we were all using it in our consumer life, but no one really knew how to apply it to a business or organization that had enterprise complexity, governance requirements, policy regulations in a lot of areas of
Everyone wants it. They don't know how and where to use it.
Absolutely. And so if I apply that challenge that we went through about 2 years ago with organizations, and I say we, I don't mean just ServiceNow, we all went through it. ServiceNow as a business went through it ourselves when we first started figuring out how generative AI could best service our employee population. With AI agents, it's a very similar challenge that we're currently experiencing. The challenge is not many of us are even using AI agents yet in consumer life, right? We're not yet to that point, so it's even a little bit harder for us to kind of get our arms around. So I like to start at the persona level with organizations, and I always bucket personas broadly into two areas. Fulfillers, individuals that are servicing your customers, your employees, your contractors, and and then requesters, individuals that are seeking value from those individuals, right? Again,
Mm.
employees, customers, contractors, for example. So we first have to get our mind around what's more important to us at the moment. Do we need a better experience for how our requesters, and again, requester means employee, customer, contractor, how they interact and get service from our business? Or do we want to start with the fulfiller side of things, making it easier for those individuals servicing those requester populations to deliver service? Once we figure that out, we now understand at least a general direction in which we're aimed in terms of how we want to apply AI and what value we want to understand. I've talked to organizations that are like, Chris, we don't care at all right now about measuring value around fulfiller experience. We care entirely about what requester experience looks like as it relates to AI agents and generative AI. So I start at that high level of a framework of what's the actual value you're looking to deliver? Who are you looking to deliver it to? And then what's the low hanging fruit? I think the biggest challenge with value realization when it comes to AI as a whole, all the way back to the beginning of time, we were just talking about machine learning years and years ago, was there were so many different places that we could use it. And we all tried to jump in and just throw it into our organization and just kind of see where it stuck. I always tell customers figure out what persona it is you're looking to best service and best apply AI. Then from there, what you want to do is you want to just start somewhere and you want to start small. You don't need to kind of boil the ocean, so to speak, immediately. Find one or two use cases that make a lot of sense for that individual. Start there and start doing something now, because that's what's going to give you the confidence and the value realization that's going to give you the opportunity to expand it into other areas of your business.
Yeah, great point. So if you have to summarize, I mean, in terms of like a few points, how a business that wants to have AI into their mix, but they don't know where to get started. I mean, really, what are some of the main steps they need to do or they need to take for making their organization or their business AI enabled? I mean, you talked about it in the previous question, but if you have to break down like in a
Yeah.
layman terminology, like one, two, three, do this, this, this. what that would be.
Yeah, I think it's define, your persona, right? Who are the individuals you want to deliver value to? Identify the use cases that have the most impact to those individuals. And then last, but finally not least, and probably the most important, make sure you're measuring the value and the impact of those outcomes once AI is applied.
Hmm. And also, I mean, in terms of future proofing, I mean, what happens is that sometimes when you are implementing stuff, your processes change, your workflows change, and your agent is developed in a way that it is tuned to work in a certain way. But now you have changed your workflow or how you do your business or how you operate in general. So, how do you future proof your AI agents?
Yeah, the great part about AI agents is if we construct them in the right way and we feed the data, the structured and unstructured data into a central location and we put our business rules around that before we even stand those AI agents up, the AI agent can manage and navigate a lot of that autonomously on their own. Now, again,
Hmm.
over time, we want good governing principles around all of that. When there are major changes, making sure that those human changes remain still human centered and governed. But the beauty of all of this, right, is AI agents not only rapidly deliver outcomes for our service populations, again, employee, customer, contractor, but also they autonomously react to the adaptability and evolution of our business.
Hmm. So, in the end, what message would you like to give to business owners or professionals who are looking to have AI agents implemented or, I mean, incorporated into their mix?
Yeah, start small, but start somewhere. Mature into it over time along with that. Make sure you're measuring your success along the way, and adapting as needed. And then make sure that this AI is delivered through meaningful and curated experiences that actually yield a good feeling when you interact with it, right? Getting to the outcome is one thing, but we have to meet individuals where they're at with AI agents, generative AI, whatever it might be. And that's why that experiential piece is so important.
That's amazing. So, Chris, it was very, very insightful, and I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation and learning a lot from you. I hope the audience has learned quite a bit as well. So, I would looking forward to hosting you sometime soon on a specific topic within the context of AI agents on BetterTech, and then we can go from there and expand on this episode further.
Well, Haseeb, thank you to you, your listeners, as well as the entire BetterTech team. Excited to watch this recording myself once we complete it. But thanks so much for having me, and looking forward to diving into deeper topics in the future.
Thank you very much. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you.